Gohan and Piccolo's training for the Saiyans is one of the most underrated training camps in all of DBZ. I feel like it doesn't get talked about as much, but it was so hype and it was the start of one of the best bonds in the entire show. So like usual, I'm going to do a recap of the events leading up to the training for some context, then break down the training itself, and then we're going to talk about the aftermath. Let's go. So DBZ starts off with a 5-year time skip after Goku beats Piccolo in the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament and marries Chi-Chi. Piccolo's been in the wilderness still wanting revenge on Goku, and Goku's been in the woods living the family life. We see now he has a son named Gohan, and unlike when Goku was a kid, he doesn't have that edge to him, you know? He's only half Saiyan, so by nature he's not likely to be as much of a dog as Goku is, but it's also because he was just raised differently. Chi-Chi wanted him to be a scholar and not a fighter like his dad at all. So Gohan is just this absolute crybaby, just scared of everything. And for a kid his age, I mean, it's completely normal, but compared to like a Goku or a Piccolo his age, man, he's soft. But his whole life is about to change in the most dramatic way you can think of. An alien named Raditz pulls up on Goku and the squad, drops a bomb on them by telling them Goku is his brother and he's one of the last of the Saiyan race, an alien warrior race who are kind of like space pirates. He tries to get Goku in on the action, but Goku obviously declines, so Raditz one-shots him and steals Gohan to use as blackmail. He gives him a day to change his mind and then he leaves Roshi's island. Piccolo, of all people, shows up with a proposition for them to fight as a team to beat the Saiyan. Raditz pulled up on him earlier too, so he knows how big of a threat he is. This is about survival, so he puts his feud to the side so they can get the W. And these two rivals actually worked really great as a team, and they put up a solid fight considering how badly they were outclassed. Even would have won if Goku didn't do this. What? It turns out Gohan has an insane hidden power that gets triggered by anger and desperation. When Raditz starts torturing Goku, Gohan launches himself at Raditz, damaging him pretty badly. Then Goku grabs him while Piccolo fires off a special beam cannon at them, killing both brothers. Just before dying, Piccolo mentions how Goku's going to be brought back to life with the Dragon Balls as a way of spiting Raditz in his final moments, but Raditz tries to get the last laugh. He says the conversation was recorded by his scouter, and in a year's time, 2 Saiyans a lot stronger than him are going to show up, get the Dragon Balls for themselves, and wipe out everybody. Time out real quick. Some people forget about how much of a threat the Saiyans really were. In the OG Dragon Ball, Goku and Piccolo were him and him, the best fighters the world has ever seen by far, and they barely managed to beat this one Saiyan, and they got lucky too. And now there's going to be 2 of them who are way stronger than this one. The stakes are insane and the word is out, so all the Earth Warriors start prepping. Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, Chiaotzu, and Yajirobe train at Kami's lookout. Goku journeys on Snake Way in Otherworld to train with King Kai, and Piccolo's training, well, that's what we're going to break down in this video, because this was the best training of the saga, no question. Okay, so Piccolo steals Gohan, straight up. He wants to hone his hidden power so they have a better shot against the Saiyans. He wakes him up by throwing him into a lake, then he tells him his dad just died and he won't see him or his mom for another year, and he's going to be training him to fight the Saiyans that are coming. Gohan is obviously devastated and he doesn't believe his own hype, so Piccolo proves it to him by grabbing him by his head and launching him at a mountain. Just before he gets clapped, his hidden power kicks in and he vaporizes the mountain with a huge ki blast. This show is crazy, bro. Piccolo tells him, first things first, he's going to leave him in the wilderness for 6 months to toughen him up, because right now he's a complete cream puff and he needs to build that dog in him before they can train together. I love this scene because Piccolo's saying some of the realest stuff you'll ever hear. Gohan's begging him not to leave, saying he's afraid, and Piccolo says, "You'll laugh at your fears when you find out who you really are." And Gohan's like, "Wait, what about food? What about my bed?" And Piccolo's like, "Hey, I told you I wasn't gonna go easy on you." "You're on your own, kid." Gohan says, "That's just cruel." And Piccolo's like, "Sometimes, kid, life is cruel, and don't you forget it. Peace."
Hey, y'all be easy now.
Training time, let's go. So Gohan is taking a leak and then he encounters a T-Rex. The T-Rex starts chasing him down and he's terrified, but the moment he's about to get swallowed up, his hidden power kicks in and he jumps and lands on a tall mountain. He's away from danger, but he doesn't know how to get down, so that's a big problem. Time passes and he's starving, cold, and scared, but then he finds a couple of apples and questions how they're even there and goes ham eating them. But he's being a prima donna about it, saying the apples were sour and he misses his mom's cooking, which irritates Piccolo. We see Piccolo is keeping tabs on him and gave him this one out. He says it's the one and only time he's gonna help him out, and that if he doesn't survive, well then he was just wrong about him. Tough.
If he dies, he dies.
We see a scene of Kami and Mr. Popo talking, where Kami can tell that Piccolo's changed after teaming up with Goku. He also senses that they're gonna die in a year, either by just old age on Kami's part, or by Piccolo losing his life in the battle. He wonders if Piccolo can also sense this, and maybe him training Gohan is also a way of passing something down after his death. The next night, Gohan is taking another piss, and he notices the full moon and starts transforming into an Ozaru. He literally goes ape, and starts destroying everything in sight without hesitation. Piccolo's freaked out, and he remembers that Saiyans transform at the full moon, so he simply blows it up. I love DBZ, bro. He rips off Gohan's tail and hooks him up with a sword and some new clothes. Goku style gi, but Piccolo's insignia. Maybe Kami was right about him wanting to leave something behind after all. Gohan wakes up the next day and he takes yet another leak, which at this point is just a trigger for something bad to happen, because he starts getting attacked by an alligator and then a saber-toothed tiger, then he gets snatched by a gigantic hawk who then starts fighting with a pterodactyl and then drops Gohan. It was just anarchy, bro. He lands in some cave and he's stuck there with a robot who's been trapped for decades. He befriends the robot and tries digging through the sand so they can both escape, but he ends up causing the ceiling to collapse. The robot uses up the last of his battery to launch Gohan out of there, and he basically sacrifices himself for Gohan, and he's devastated. The one companion he had, gone. But this also gives him strength. Now he's not going to cry anymore, whine, or complain about the circumstances he's in. He's fully committed to the process. And he wasn't lying, because after some time, we see Gohan in a forest during nighttime, and bro is really in his hunter-gatherer bag. Look at him cook. He falls to the floor, hurts himself, and starts making ointment for the wound, just like Goku did for him when he was younger. He's really starting to get a hang of surviving on his own. The next morning, he finds a wounded dinosaur and makes that same ointment for it. He goes to pick some fruit in the forest and starts thinking about how him and that dinosaur could be friends. He's also admiring the gains he's made, notices how his arms have been getting bigger. He comes back to see the same T-Rex that tried to kill him at the start is now packing the dinosaur friend he helped. Gohan's been building up courage and doesn't want to see another friend die, so he tries to fight the T-Rex but gets KO'd. He wakes up to see the dino's carcass. He's sad, but he's a lot more used to it now. He realizes it's survival of the fittest out here, bro, and he keeps him moving. So now we have another time skip, and we see Gohan is fully acclimated to living in the wilderness. He's strong, fast, capable, and has an amazing attitude about the circumstances he's in. Then we see the T-Rex that used to give him so many problems is now nothing for him. Look at how little he cares that he's being chased. Ask him if he's bothered. He's not, bro. We also see that Gohan's been keeping him alive to use him as a consistent food source by cutting off chunks of his tail. And it's not just for survival, he's having fun going from being the hunted to being the hunter. Let's take a look at how Piccolo's been training in the meantime real quick. Piccolo spends a lot of time strengthening his ki by meditating and focusing on manipulating his surroundings with ki alone. We see him lifting up pyramids, creating huge typhoons, and overall just changing the landscape around him. And then to keep his hands sharp, he uses one of his Namekian abilities to split himself in two and use himself as a sparring partner. And he's sparring really hard. He's an absolute animal, look at him. I love how the English dub specifically says he's been thinking a lot about his Raditz encounter and uses that to work out new combos and strategies. It makes sense since he's going to be fighting similar opponents stylistically. Not only is he treating his preparation like a UFC contender, but he's also treating it like a Battle City finalist. I want you to take a look at this move right here and tell me bro didn't just use mirror force. So back to Gohan. After conquering the wilderness, he finds his way home and he's so happy to be able to spend time with his mom again. But just before he's about to reunite with Chi-Chi, he turns around and runs away crying. He knows no matter how badly he wants to see her again, it's training time and he's got work to do. Piccolo, keeping tabs on him, notices this and pulls up on Gohan. I love how Piccolo allowed him to make the choice. He wanted to see if his heart was really in it. He asks, Gohan, what is your mission? Say it. Gohan says, to prepare for the Saiyans, to fight, to win. Piccolo's like, then let's go back. And this is when they start training together. Only 6 months left until the Saiyans arrive. Time is ticking. For their training, if Gohan isn't eating or sleeping, he's sparring with Piccolo. He needed to get Gohan battle ready quickly, so it was necessary to do as much sparring as possible. Piccolo starts off by just counterpunching. Gohan is complaining about how difficult it is to land, but Piccolo is not trying to hear any excuses. This is what Gohan sounds like to him.
I say,
He then tells him, next time you find time to whine, think about what you should do instead and do it. Next up, Gohan's working on his defense, but it's not going well for him. He's getting teed off on. Then later we see them trading hands, but Gohan is still getting cooked. He fakes complaining, then tries jumping away from Piccolo for a break. Piccolo swoops in behind him and hits him with a double axe handle. Some time passes by and we see that Gohan is leveling up. He's blocking Piccolo's shots and even lands this clean right hand. Look at that connection. But Piccolo has a granite chin because he eats that like a tic tac and punches him back harder, knocking him off of a cliff and into a river. Gohan asks for help out of the current, so Piccolo's like, yeah, for sure, gives him a combo and then launches him back into the river again. Later that night, they're sitting by a campfire and Gohan is all beaten and bruised. Piccolo's being cordial with him, telling him how at least he's not such a crybaby anymore. Gohan asks, hey Piccolo, is it true that you fought with my dad a long time ago? Piccolo tells him that the fight isn't over, that he's going to take care of Goku after the Saiyans are dealt with. But this was such a lie and Gohan knew it too. He said, you don't need to fight him, I can tell you've changed, you're one of the family, you're kind of like my big green uncle. This pisses him off because he knows it's true. When he killed Goku along with Raditz, it didn't hit like he thought it would. Even though he'd been wanting Goku dead for years, just the circumstances they were in, you could see he respected him and his sacrifice. Also seeing Raditz, somebody pure evil like he once was, causing mindless chaos, I think it just put things into perspective for him. Like, what's the point of carrying all of this hate? He's at a crossroads now and he's leaning towards good, and Gohan is playing the biggest role in that. The next day we see some more sparring. Gohan's improving but still getting whooped like usual, and he ends up hanging off this cliff. Piccolo kicks him down and refuses to help him back up. No mercy. But Gohan is not giving up. He's only getting tougher and grittier, just like Piccolo wanted for him. The last we see of their training, Piccolo is trying to get Gohan used to dodging ki blasts while closing the gap on the opponent. Look at the focus, look at the improvement. He catches Piccolo off guard and makes him use a reflex shot. And Piccolo's worried that he might have hurt him really badly, but Gohan gets up and brushes it off. Look at the recovery. So now training time for everybody is over. The gang summons Shenron and wishes Goku back to life, but he has to go back on Snake Way to get to Earth, and it's gonna take him 2 days to make the trip. This is a huge problem, because the next day, it finally happens. The Saiyans finally arrived. A minute in and they already wiped out an entire city. Everyone is terrified. The Saiyans want all the smoke. Vegeta turns on a scouter to find where the fighter's at. He says,
send me a message like location, I'm gonna come. Whatever you want, doesn't matter. Ireland, New York, Brooklyn or Moscow, doesn't matter. Tell me.
Piccolo sends location. Look at Gohan's clean new fit, by the way. Hey, new dad, new fit. It is what it is. Vegeta and Nappa along with the Z fighters show up to the location and the battle starts. I love how during Yamcha's fight with the Cybermen, Gohan is overwhelmed and having a hard time seeing them move so fast while fighting. It just goes to show how, even with all that training, you need real battle experience to be able to perform when you're under the bright lights. Yamcha gets killed, Krillin loses his cool and wipes out all but one Cyberman. The one still left attacks Gohan, who freezes up, but Piccolo saves him. He takes out the Cyberman in a way I can only explain as brutal murder. This isn't the last time Gohan chokes under pressure too. Later on in the fight, after Nappa starts mowing down the Z fighters, Piccolo and Krillin take him by surprise and land a good team combo. This was Gohan's chance to contribute by firing off a ki blast at Nappa while he was discombobulated, but he choked like B-Rabbit at the start of 8 Mile. Tien gives his life to avenge Chaozu with one final tri-beam. Nappa tanks it. Then they take a 3-hour intermission because Vegeta wants to give Goku some time to show up, so he can see his friends and family get slaughtered. While they wait, Piccolo is pissed at Gohan and tells him to go home if he's going to be a coward. But really, he's trying to motivate him. He knows Gohan is capable and he really wants to see him give it his best. Gohan doesn't want to let Piccolo down either, so he tries to redeem himself by promising he's going to do his part when the fight starts. And he wasn't lying too, because when the fight started again, they had the plan of grabbing Nappa's tail and having Gohan deal the finishing blow to the weakened Saiyan. And look, he was really trying to put in work this time. It didn't work out, but it's still nice to see Gohan building up more courage as the fight goes on. The fight continues, and as Goku grows closer to arriving, Vegeta reads his power level on the scouter and sees that it's actually really high, and it might just be the tip of the iceberg too. Nappa gets nervous and impatient and tries to wipe them out, but Gohan fires up and kicks Nappa in the face, shocking everybody. Okay, no more playing games. Nappa is really pissed now. He's out for blood. He fires off a ki blast at Gohan that's about to end him. Piccolo jumps in front of Gohan in a panic to try and save him. He takes the full hit, still on his feet, but his body gives out and he drops to the floor, barely clinging on to life. He has one last conversation with Gohan here, where he finally says what we could all see clear as day. In his last words, he points out the irony of his life spent trying to kill Goku, and then his life given trying to save his son. He thanks Gohan, telling him he's the only real friend he's ever had. Then he recalls back to the day they met, how much Gohan has changed since then, him being small and helpless, to growing stronger with every challenge and adversity. Piccolo says he was hard on him for his own good, and says, "You're like the son I never had. I'm proud of you. Goodbye, my friend." Man, what a scene. This sends Gohan into a rage, and he charges up a Masenko with all of his strength and fires it off at Nappa. Even though it gets deflected and Gohan's energy is completely depleted, he's staring death in the face, but he's not running anymore. He's different, he's changed. And he bosses up for the rest of the Saiyan Saga too. Later on, he was the one that was pushing for him and Krillin to help Goku in the fight against Vegeta. That took a lot of balls, and if he didn't sack up like that, they would all be dead. And he's even bold enough to trade hands with Vegeta himself. Even in the next saga, he showed a lot of bravery in the face of adversity, and most of this strength he got from his time with Piccolo, and he knows this too. There's a scene later when they're on the ship to Namek, and Krillin sees Gohan still wearing Piccolo's outfit and says, "Wow, you must really respect Piccolo." And Gohan responds, "Yeah, about the same as my dad." And they have this connection. They're like family for the remainder of the show. They were in this unique situation where Gohan softened the hardened heart of Piccolo, and Piccolo strengthened the weak spirit of Gohan. Iron sharpens iron. Man, I said this already, but I love this training camp. Such good writing, and it had this spirit to it, you know? But anyways, thank you everybody for watching. You're the best, and I'm out of here.